Cannot see you. It's actually better. Hi. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about the future of DevOps and basically to continue on this speech and to tell you how we see the evolution at JFrog and where we see all of us going in the future. And one of the main thing about us and about JFrog is that we are the binaries people. So we should not say binaries are people, my friend, but we are the binaries people. So I'm Fred Simon, chief architect and co-founder of JFrog, and since the beginning of JFrog, we really wanted to take care of your 0 and 1. And what happened with the DevOps revolution and what happened since the creation of JFrog is that 0 and 1 actually conquered the world. As you know, we are living in a digital world. Everything is becoming software. There's going to be a really nice talk from a Kit about Internet of Things. And in the DevOps environment, we had version control. We have a really nice UI to manage our workflow. We have automation. We have test code. We have code review, all the tools that we just saw. API management. All these are actually really, really sexy 0 and 1. Everybody wants to read it. Everybody wants to modify it. And they are actually understanding it. The one we are managing are the dirty ones. And we are really, really happy about managing them. We are the one that are managing the 0 and 1 that run on your runtime, on your devices, on your servers, and on your laptops. And from this point of view, what happened is that basically there is, so here this really nice Forrester slide. So everybody that knows analysts, it's kind of take them time. It's still a circle. The main goal is release fast. Okay, it's to release faster, better quality tool. They start to capture it, but there is a lot of processes. Everything is actually mingles. And they put us on the side, as you can see. Only enterprise architects are interacting with the artifact repository, and the only thing we do is to interact with an integrated build. So, as you know, this is really not the position of an artifact repository, and this is not where we are at JFrog. We have tons of plugins. We have all those partners where we develop together integration point and integration tool. We are not on the side here on the integration build. We are really in the center of this wheel. Every one of those steps, the developer that want to get this third-party library and third-party environment, every one of the build test and the build and, tool environment, the CI, the continuous deployments, release automation, and all the way to production and back. So we are really here in the center, a little bit like what I used to say, the document management system. It's like everybody is very interested about workflow management and approval about the document and analyzing what is inside the document, okay? And nobody cares about where the documents are stored, okay? We are here to store your dirty 0 and 1, your executable code, and make sure that they arrive fast, securely, and finally to your production system, and basically to the end of the end users and of your end users. And I was asked by some of those, actually it's part of this Forrester thing. The analysts are very, very worried why there is no single vendors or single standard for the DevOps industry. Why there is not one single vendor coming in and telling you, here is the way to release fast your system, and here are all of my tools, and I'm going to support you doing it top to bottom. And well, basically, the question actually was not like that. He said, what are the standards and what is the single vendor that will conquer all the DevOps? So my answer was, I think it's the first real IT transformation that will never see a single vendor and a single standardization. And one of the main reasons for it is because, so I'm going to say it the French way, is because we drink our own champagne, okay? Like Melody said, Much better than eating out. And we are all geeks. We are all together. We are creating tools that we are actually finally using. And we want to create tools that our peers like and that our peer loves. So we are really working to make usable tools for ourselves. And we are making those tools so that they can integrate together. And we are releasing fast. We are all releasing fast, or we are dying. So you have an environment where every one of those players are releasing fast and providing really good integration with the other players and making tools and environment that pleases the developers. Okay? In this kind of environment, the single vendor, the single standardization is going to be a huge bottleneck, and I don't see it happening even in a very, very near future. In very far. And so this IT transformation, or this DevOps revolution, basically is, I was saying this morning, achievement unlock. I put a Pokemon in my keynote presentation. And so, by the way, instead of a circle, I really, really like this infinity loop because this is really what we are doing. We are continuously changing our code. We are continuously building and changing, and we are doing it faster and faster. And for us, for JFrog, we really see ourselves as the conveyor belt of your software along this line. This is a slide from Edureka, where there is also a lot of other online courses, like Coursera and other environments, that are providing DevOps online training courses. So DevOps is really becoming mainstream, and in all those courses, most of the information is about the processes and the different steps that need to be taken to actually automate and speed up your process from a commit to production without human intervention. Like Stash from Yahoo said. I really like this sentence. And so it's integration of a lot of different tools. And the goal, of course, is to be able to watch this Pokemon. So Pokemon Go, of course, did a lot of DevOps. They started with a version that was quite buggy, and they keep evolving it and improving it, and they managed to keep the flow. The goal is also to have visibility on all these processes and to be able to watch what is going on. And so this is where we stand at JFrog. We are watching this DevOps revolution. We are watching Forrester being a little behind. And there is this, basically, we started with continuous integration and continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Continuous delivery, continuous deployment, there is which one is which. They are a little bit equivalent in the rest of this talk, but continuous deployment is basically executing what is continuously delivered, and continuous delivery is producing the software all the way to the end users. And so from this CICD environment, what we are seeing is that we are creating way more packages and versions every day, like at Google, like at Netflix, like in every environment, and now basically all the mainstream and the mainstream environment are creating way more packages, and those packages are getting smaller and smaller, and they are basically provided. So one of the main reasons why we said liquid software is because basically the size of your packages is getting smaller and smaller, the flow of your packages is getting higher and higher, and so instead of thinking about boxes that are put into containers on the truck, thinking about it as a flow of liquid and as a flow of system is actually a way more helpful vision and environment. And so I want to go back a little bit in terms of history and to take one of the main analogy that we use also in the software industry to change and that pushed a lot of the DevOps is the car industry. And in the car industry, it's about the way we started also when we used to make software. It was a guy or a couple of guys that were writing code in their garage, having fun, building their own car, doing their QA by themselves, and delivering the car to the customers. And of course, every time something went wrong with the car, you had to go back to this special garage and this special guy, and they were the only one that were capable of fixing it. This is how we started to build software. and it was not scalable, and we didn't manage to create as much software and as much quality software as we needed. So, like Ford, we started to automate. It's still a lot of developer. Everybody needs to fetch their own pieces and install the different pieces on the car. There's still a manual process of providing the tires and the windshield and all these different pieces, but still capable of increasing by an order of magnitude the amount of cars that were produced, and so the amount of software that was written. And this is basically where we are today. It's a full automation processes of a car and a car delivery process. So you have your continuous integration Jenkins process that are programming all the robot and developing all the robot. You have the Artifactory conveyor belt and tires delivery. You have the QA automation and QA validation. And so you are basically removing most of the human from the commit to production, and everything is fully automated. The main thing that we are spending most of our time doing is programming robots. It's actually developing the robots that will create the software, and designing, of course, the car and designing the stuff. So this car analogy is actually very, very pertinent. We used a lot in the lean methodology, and in everything that we did at DevOps is coming from Toyota, the Kanban. And the way they did, like Melody said, every developer can actually come and say something is wrong in the chain. At Toyota, it's the same. Every worker at the Toyota chain can completely stop the whole production line if he sees that something is wrong and that something goes well. So they have a lot of also review and all these kind of things. And so this is where we are. We learned a lot from Toyota. I don't know if they learned a lot from the software industry, but we are in an environment where we are actually releasing quite fast, high-quality car. But it's still delivering car. And it's, so congratulations from delivering a car. And there is a problem here. And this is the main goal of this talk, is this issue about continuous delivery. So I'm going to start with a quote from a really nice guy, because basically when we looked at this issue of continuous delivery, this problem actually happened already many times. History repeats itself. But even in the DevOps revolution and in the DevOps transformation, we actually had this exact same issue. And this issue was discovered by another guy, which is as smart as Albert, which is Linus Torvald. And one of the things that he discovered is that branching is not actually the goal of version control system. It's actually merging. The main goal of a version control system is to be able for you to do merges. Okay? And so if you go back a little bit in history, we used to have CVS. And so I don't know, how many of you used CVS? Ah, cool. I don't feel old. So yeah, just for the story, I remember was working for doing some consulting, trying to transform software creation for direct insurance, so that the software was highly targeted for people that were answering online demand for policies, and so to make the software as fast as possible and as the flow as quick as possible so that they will get their policy, so that in 15 minutes you will get 15% on your car insurance. So, and in this process, we had CVS, and we wanted to do some changes. And I remember having 6 top manager discussions for more than an hour to decide if we needed to do a branch or not. I don't know if you remember this kind of time, so now I feel old. And it was actually really, really a painful process. It was a really big code base, and doing a branch was a whole afternoon. Doing a CVS branch could take a whole freaking afternoon, okay? So you were not just doing branches for fun. And so this is where the subversion guy came in. And you have this kind of events when you do software. The first time I did my SVN copy, and I find out that I can manage my branch in a second and create a new branch in a second, it really completely changed the way you were thinking about managing your software and managing your change, okay? And they managed this revolution, and they conquer the CVS to subversion was a huge flow. And we did a lot of transformation also from clear case to subversion. And every developer that started to work on subversion, and we told them, okay, you have to go back to your project on clear case. So usually they either quit or, or they manage to stay on the subversion environment. But Linus, he had a problem with subversion, is that he had all those pull requests from the community, and he had to manage the Git code base, okay? And he didn't manage to integrate all those pull requests. And what was frustrating with subversion, I remember also clearly, is that you can see that subversion had the information from all the different branches. He knew exactly which file were changed in which line and which environment, but whenever you were doing the merge, you had to redo this by yourself. You had to redo the merge by yourself. You knew that the system had the information and could do it by himself, but it was asking a human being to actually do it. And so that's why this guy, again, saved us. And yeah, to be frank, without the two revolutions of Linux, I don't think we will be here. I mean, without Linux and Git, there is a lot of what we do today into releasing fast and creating the DevOps industry that we will not be able. Today, we can actually automate Git merge. I don't know if you, I mean, if 10 years ago you will have told me that inside my Jenkins job I can call a Git merge and I can actually merge branches automatically without human intervention, I will tell you that you are freaking crazy. Today we are doing it and we are really happy with it. And so this kind of problem and this kind of issue about actually working hard to solve a problem that we had a huge problem of branching, but missing the target because the goal was not actually to solve the branching issue, but to solve the merging issue. I think, so after Albert and Linus, I had to put a nice picture of myself. I think we did exactly the same with the CICD transformation. We spend a lot of energy targeting continuous deployment and continuous delivery, but at the end of the day, this is not the goal of what we are doing. We are deploying microservices and applications and things like that. What we want is continuous updates. We want all those running services and running environment to be continuously updated, to have the new version, to make sure that the data is transformed from one version to another, to be able to roll back even on a different data set. And when you think about it, for example, Docker, the first time you use Docker, the first time you do Docker build and Docker run, you said, okay, I have something is going to change. The industry is going to change. As a developer, the first time you are doing your Docker run, you know that something big just happened. But still, the way Docker is managing the layers and the updates and the environment, it's forcing you to do continuous deployment. It's forcing you to create and to reconnect and to do all this job. And the way you are managing your container, and now also the orchestration are trying to fix this issue. But if right from the beginning you concentrate and you said, what I want to do is to have updates that flows and that keep going into all my services and all my version, and everybody will integrate with it transparently, I think a lot of the tools that we use today will be designed and integrated correctly. And this is where we see the future going on. It will happen. We will see Docker updates with a layer size and maybe a layer that will be updated below and the size of the updates to be reduced, things like that. And when I try to apply this mistake of goals of continuous deployment to continuous update to the car industry, basically the analogy breaks down. If you think about the continuous delivery, and this is the main issue, you continuously deliver the car, but what you want is a car that continuously updates itself. So you have a nice little car, but you deliver it with the robot. And the robot comes in and gets updating the car, and it transforms on the fly your running car into the flying car. This is where software is going. So we cannot learn from Toyota anymore. We'll see, maybe, actually. And as you can see here in this nice vision of the future of software updates, that the parts of the robots here are kind of coming out of the blue, okay? we need to create a system where all the parts of the car are provided to all the cars of the world continuously, safely, securely, and fast, okay? If your neighbors is updated with a flying car and you are not, okay, you're going to start to complain. You will want to get the flying car before him. And so basically, this is the vision of JFrog. This is what we are doing. We want to provide the infrastructure, the pipe that will provide the liquid software and all the pieces that will update all the cars of the world into flying cars, and let you build on top of that and let you build the tap and the integration and make sure that all your devices and all your customers are having the best and the latest software that you can. Thank you. Yeah. Just, there is a bunch of cool T-shirts in a breakout session. Liquid software, cool T-shirts. Don't forget to pick up. It's close to the breakout session. Thank you.